Hey, yeah, what? Grab your bootstraps, yeah, let's scale your growth. Here's the truth, Jack. We'll reach the globe, unveil the notes. Learn to pivot, earn your digits. Won't burn, you'll get it. See, this is factual. Funds will show, learn to flow with Candid Capital.
This is a Candid Capital interview. In these episodes, we host industry business professionals involved in the global tech ecosystem to discuss various topics related to tech, global economy, and building sustainable businesses and investments. Welcome back to the Candid Capital podcast. I'm your host, Josh. Joining me is Mahna Taz, a Toronto-based artist that works with NFTs and other Web3 related digital art projects. We will discuss topics related to Web3 and tech, from the artist's perspective in relation to opportunities and how tech, specifically Web3, is impacting artists. Like somebody said, software is eating the world, and I'm excited to discuss and learn about the non-technical user aspect in the art space. Welcome, Mahna Taz. Thanks for joining the podcast today.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks for having me.
This is great. So for context, just for people who are listening, because you're a little bit different, even though on theme with the type of guests I have, you are an artist that I met at a Web3 rooftop event at Collision in Toronto, where you were painting a canvas that was later turned into an NFT, raised for, I think, charity. I can't remember.
Yes, that's correct.
So now we got the backstory of how we know each other. If you could maybe just introduce yourself, a little bit about what you do and what you're working on.
Sure. So obviously, my name is Mahna Taz, and I've been painting for the past, God knows, 25 years. And it's been always the hobby. I'm born and raised in Iran, in Tehran, and initially, my background, I studied statistics and interior design. After finishing my education, I did work in interior design field for a bit, and to just make it shorter, I moved to Dubai, lived there 7 years. Flew around as a flight attendant at the time, and then moved to Canada. And until probably 2 years ago, I've been in sales management, business management, and developments for quite a few years. And until the pandemic hit. And all these years I was painting, obviously, right? But it wasn't my business full time. And when pandemic hit, and I've been told all these years, just wanted to do it as a full-time job, And then I reached to the point that maybe I should, right? Because I'm getting so many good feedbacks and my paintings are selling well. So I just turned this into the full-time business as an artist, and coming from being a traditional canvas artist to this new world of technology, it's a big transformation. At the same time, can be challenging and can be really, really fun because any change is interesting, fun, at the same time challenging, because you're facing new things that you have to learn, you have to know about, you have to educate yourself. So far, it's been going really well, and I'm still educating myself in the tech industry.
So I have a few questions on sort of your origin story here. So the first is, while you're doing all this traveling and business development and the wonderful world of statistics, were you also selling and creating art on the side?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. And so COVID is what got you to turn it into full-time.
That is, well, it started before COVID, to be honest. I was planning it to do it before actually COVID exists. So COVID was basically a push to just do it. Don't think more.
And did you sell your art in the homes you were interior designing as well?
I have, yes.
Oh, okay.
But that's long ago. That's like, it was mostly like through the years, it was mostly like private exhibitions, private showings, especially in Dubai was very, very private because of my work schedule. I was really busy. So flying around and I wasn't really like available to do it like constantly. So when there was like a really, really private showing, like in somebody's house or some specific gallery where with private guests, yes, I have been doing it. Yes.
And so with your interior design, was that your own company or did you work for an interior
No,
design
it wasn't.
company?
It wasn't. It was very young at the time. And I was actually working with two other guys and they were really mentoring me. Great guys. One of them actually now is in Canada. And we used to do a lot of home renovations, and also the industrial part was one of the biggest projects I was on. It was when Iran is under the sanction, right, for many years after the Islamic Republic, and so let's say foreign vehicles like let's say Mercedes, BMW, they wouldn't be imported to the country legally. So it was like individuals bringing those cars in the country. And then after the Islamic Republic, the first exhibition ever of the Mercedes-Benz, which was held in one of the biggest hotels in Tehran, we did all the design. And I was part of that project. And I'm always proud of that. So that was the first time they actually brought imported Mercedes-Benz legally by the government. And it was a lot of work, but I was young, out of university, and I was learning. But I did a lot because normally when you're new, you do most of the work, right?
Of course, you have to get that experience. Do you currently list your art on interior design marketplaces?
No, because I have been out of the business for so long. So I haven't really been active. Yes, let's say if there are developers, they want art, they reach out, but that's kind of like as of we're talking currently, it's very one-on-one. So like it's not something that I list them on this platform or this company specifically.
Oh, okay. No, I was just asking because there's this one startup. It's called My Doma Studio, and it's for interior designers. And I think they also source their products for their interior design projects through the platform as well, which is, kind of, I guess, segueing into the tech component a little bit of this conversation. But before we get into that, I would kind of like to know a little bit more about how you've been finding the experience of being an entrepreneur and some of the tech tools that you've been using to kind of support that journey.
So that's a good point. I've never heard of that studio, and actually I have to look into it. To transform from a traditional artist to be an NFT artist, let's say. The first time I've heard about NFTs and let's say Metaverse, I think it was 2018, if I'm not making a mistake. And it was through Clubhouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was through Clubhouse. And I was like thinking, what the hell is going on in the world, right? Of course, I was familiar with Bitcoin and all the digital assets. But at the same time, I was like, okay, what? And I've been listening and having this conversation with people. And I was thinking, okay, this is a whole new world, which I had at the time no clue. The terminologies, the words. And I'm like, Googling this, like, what's going on? Maybe I was late in the industry because, well, you know, like, I'm not a teenager, clearly. So coming from different generation to the new generation technology, it was kind of like shocking at the beginning, but I started really, really liking it. And I see that there's so many opportunities that can tech bring into the space, that even artists can benefit from that a lot.
What are some examples of some of those opportunities?
Let's say the softwares like Blender, like the apps are created, like you can actually easily turn your painting or something physical into animation and bring it to life. I'm talking as an artist, of course. Those opportunities are like, it's metaverse and tech. It's so huge. It's a huge field, like especially when the VR headsets, AI, and all those bringing opportunities for different businesses. It depends, like, from which angle you look at it. I'm talking from the artist part because if you look at it in a wider, how do you say that in English? In a wider space, you see, like, yes, say it, please.
Well, I was just to say, maybe you're thinking in a broader scope.
Yes, in a broader scope. Thanks for giving me that word.
No problem.
Yes. In a broader scope, it's there's billions of opportunities because metaverse is like the actual universe. It's just inside the computer. That's all. So whatever you do in real life, you can do it there. You can live there, you can play there, you can build houses there, you can have real estate, you can have in terms of educational matter, like all the universities, medical system, everybody has billions and millions of opportunities to benefit from the tech. For me, myself, I've been like, I started like a little bit learning Blender, trying VR headsets. I'm still new to it, like to be hands-on, you know. And I would love to learn what they cinema 4D, but I don't know. That's a big word to use right now for me.
So are you playing with any of the metaverse software? Like, are you trying to build your own metaverse spaces, or are you in a metaverse where you're using real estate? I'm assuming you have art in some of these places.
It is planning. I haven't done it yet. So it's planning. I'm trying to collab with a couple of metaverse architects. And they do an amazing job. We're supposed to have a meeting, but because I've been really, really busy recently, everything was just on hold. But yes, that's a plan, but I haven't done that yet.
So what's the vision? Is there going to be a Mahna Taz showroom in the metaverse? Is that the idea?
That's one of them. And also they're going to be like virtual galleries, like what we have in AGO. You can have it, the same exact thing in metaverse, and also in the lobby of the hotels, buildings. Like currently I have some work at King Blue Hotel at the lobby. Well, this is in real life. So you can do the same thing exactly in metaverse, and those are part of the plans. So let's say if the architect is building a hotel, or, I mean, this is beside the galleries. This is beside the virtual galleries and the arts aspects of it. And let's say what we talked about, interior design as well. That's also part of the plan to go into and to take the work, because currently my work are mostly physical and I'm turning them digital and basically entering them into the metaverse, right? But that's the whole plan, but hasn't been done yet. So I don't want to talk about something that hasn't been done yet.
Okay, so it's in the process.
Yes, it is in the process. That's part of a plan, 100%. And I just, the really, really fun fact, these apps, and every day that there is a new app coming out, it makes life easier. So you don't have to actually learn those softwares, right? I think the way the industry is going, we will reach to the point that even a 5-year-old can easily turn anything he wants into an animation or 3D with just some very, very simple app, instead of sitting down and learning these softwares, right?
So do you mint your own NFTs for your art, or
Yes.
are you, okay? So could you run me through the process of, from, I guess, you find a client or you make an art piece all the way to when it gets minted and potentially out into the metaverse? You could just run me through that process, or your process for this.
So there was 2 different series that I was creating, and they started last year. I have, but because of some family obligation, I couldn't. I put them on hold. They're not finished yet. So there was a lot of plans for those series, but there are like 1 or 2 up minted right now. I do mint my own NFTs because I think when it comes to metaverse and the ownership, it's just like if somebody else mints your work, they own that name, even though you get the partial, you get the benefits of it, or unless you work for that company and there's a collaboration. That's 2 different stories. So I always try to mint my own work unless I do the work for a specific organization and it's being donated or gifted or bought at the spot with all rights reserved to be minted by them. And I think this is very important for the artists to know that they should mint their own work, because at the beginning of this, the whole scenario and the whole time that I'm getting into this space, I got approached maybe like with different, like 5 people. And they were like offering me to buy all my paintings for 1 year, to mint it, and they sell it. And the money was good. I'm not gonna lie. And the benefits was very beneficial, but the ownership of my name would have been gone. And that's something like the new artists might not know about it. That's why I'm mentioning it right now. But for me, for those that from the beginning, when I choose a painting, I think about it. Okay, most of my paintings are very expressionist or subjective. There is meaning to it. There is a story behind it, behind each one of them. And the first thing I think is how I can bring that story to life by making it animated or minted as it is. Because when you're doing a physical work, you hang it on a gallery and there's normally these little tiny tags at the bottom, right? You can't just put like an A4 paper on the wall, right? Describe it. Like, what was your perspective? How, like, what are you trying to express in this painting? And of course, it's very subjective and different from different people. When they look at the picture or a painting, they have different thoughts and feelings towards it, right? But out of my experience through the years, almost 80%, 90% of clients, they ask me, please explain what was your vision. I want to check what I thought and compare it to the actual original story behind this art. So this is the first thing I think when I want to bring a physical painting into NFT and mint it. So that's basically the first step. So with my own abilities, unless I want to collab, then that's a different story, because I get a professional animator actually express my story. But before that, if I want to do it myself, I choose a painting to see how I can bring it to life. And then I play around if I can make it animated or slightly different or as it is, depending on what the story is behind the art piece. I choose it, then I mint it. because I started minting last year, I haven't gone through the individual auction yet, because the only platform I've minted right now is on Foundation, which is more of like artistic. It's the design is slightly different than OpenSea and other platforms. I mean, they're all great. OpenSea gives you more freedom. Foundation is more artistic, right? And it's easier to auction on it. I haven't done it yet because I was testing the water. When all my series completed, that's the time that probably I'm going to do a drop, an auction, and start the marketing and the clientele to actually go really loud about it. So basically, that's my personal plan for the NFTs. But those series hasn't been finished yet.
Okay, so you haven't really gotten past the part of, at least for the non-collaborations, past the minting component of it.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I haven't done that because I'm still like, it's a very different area when you look at it as an artist versus a business person, because a lot of people, especially the initial, like the first people who got into NFTs, they are more crypto people rather than art dealers. So let's say Sotheby's, Christie's. Well, Christie's are huge right now in NFTs. Like they went like fully in. However, the collectors are still very, very limited. Especially like bigger collectors are not very young. When we're talking about Sotheby's, when we're talking about like really, really art collectors, like people who collect, let's say, Van Gogh pieces. Let's say, I'm talking about like bigger scale in this case. Those people are still like not very familiar in the art world with the concept of crypto and NFTs. Because, yeah.
Do you think that, I guess, the NFTs and the ability to digitize your art, is it making, I guess, creating sort of a mass market for artists? Because, like sort of the stereotypical view of artists is they're all starving. And so, and everybody is trying to get their stuff out there. And until they get sort of like a high level branding moment, or maybe a celebrity picks them up or something like that, that's when they kind of seem to have the jump off. But is NFTs giving the opportunity for more mass market collectors for all artists,
100%,
so that they're earning perhaps maybe more than they
100%. It's like the amount of like financial parts, like the amount of financial parts playing in this NFT world is huge for artists. But when I talk to different artists, like not NFT artists, like they're like, oh, I just go mint it, just that's it. I'm like, this is not how it works. You need to have the market. You need to have a vision to see in what purpose you're creating this art. Because right now, I mean, it's slowly getting better. Right now, when me as an individual, like I haven't been an artist, full-time artist all my life, right? I've been developing businesses. I've been sales and business management for years. So me as a person, if I want to buy an NFT, I want to be able to sell it, right? It's an asset. They look at it more of it as an asset rather than a piece of art. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't exist. Of course that exists. But we are talking about the situation right now, or from 3 years ago till now. So the NFT collectors, there are some that they actually buy the NFT for the sake of they like the art and they want to use it on their wall, on their screen, on their, their studio, part of their house. And if it's animated, it can play on the wall, or It can work on a building. That different aspects of it. But that amount of collectors, they are not as many as the business collectors. You're talking. I don't know if you agree with me or not, because you're more into crypto and.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm into crypto. I mean, I
I mean, you're pretty knowledgeable.
I view a lot of the different markets and whatnot. I do think that, it's probably a little bit like traditional art markets where the artist kind of has to build their brand profile and portfolio in order to have sort of that collection value for specific collectors. But right now, because the metaverse is, it depends what metaverse you're in, and what the objective of it is. Are you doing it there? Are you in a metaverse really for, let's say, you're buying real estate in there to make an art gallery, to manage your fans already, your community of people? Because the metaverse is all about community. And so anything you're going to do, anything you're going to interact, try to build in it, it has to be around a community. So it still requires you to do it the old way. I just think because it's digital, it allows you to access a global audience rather than maybe a
100%.
localized.
Yes, 100%. And that's a huge opportunity for the artist, and also the residual income as the loyalty, which the artists can receive, even though like the artist sold that piece, let's say that NFT, like God knows years ago, but still you're getting this residual income. And I think the whole metaverse and this technology is helping the artist in a very, very good way and positive way. 100%.
Yeah, it seems like, because my understanding is you can create NFTs so that the original artist gets royalties every time it's sold.
That's right.
Whereas before, all the brokers happens behind closed doors that are selling art. So the artist only gets paid once.
That's correct. Yeah.
For the most part.
Same thing as like somebody else come and say, listen, we have a company at the beginning of this whole revolution of tech and NFT is happening. They just approach artists. And I know artists that have done that, right? They give a contract 1 year, whatever you paint, we sell them. So they're ending up getting the residual income.
So
I've been like the artist, like being given the initial payment. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think with like a lot of different industries with software it's changing the dynamics of the middleman. So rather than there being really a broker, there's a marketplace, and
right.
They'll ask for their cut, or they'll ask for nothing because they just want users.
That's
and
right.
They'll make money in a different way. But I think it's changing the dynamics of the middleman and how the market is operating. Especially if you can find a way to tie the digital world to the real world, which
I think
we'll see how that.
Less. I mean, nowadays most of the artists, like everybody, like know pretty much about NFT, the digital world and the metaverse right now. But a few years ago, it was not like this. So we are going in a very, very positive direction. And it's this opportunity that you can own all the rights of your own work and still receive money after the first auction or first time selling it. So it's a huge opportunity for the artists.
Oh, definitely. So I was wondering if you had any interesting collaborations that you've done recently or at all that you might want to mention, describe.
Well, there's something cooking.
Oh, okay. So you can't talk about it yet.
Yes, there's something cooking. I don't want to talk about it because it's not. The product is not ready yet.
Okay.
Let alone to be out. So we're still working on it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's a metaverse.
All right. Well, I won't pressure you on that.
It's a metaverse. It's a metaverse. Again, like past year, just put a very big hold on my projects, but it's going on. It's just like it's the same thing as I said. It's going to be a gallery, huge gallery, and buildings with arts in it, and it's virtual. You can go in, purchase. And then it's like a real gallery. It's just the gallery will take a percentage, as if like you're walking in a gallery on I don't know, Yonge Street or Cumberland Street or wherever. So it's the same exact system. It's just a metaverse.
Okay. So for any, I guess, person considering to take your pathway to become an artist, and also to turn that art into digital assets, are there any tools that you recommend that they should start with, get familiar with, or maybe some of the learnings that you did? And I don't mean to promote any specific tools or to steer people away from it, but you're going through this journey and you've experienced a certain learning curve. So is there something you could probably tell the next person trying to do this?
Well, it depends how they want to proceed. Like some people are not into animation, some people are. I think it's a great opportunity. The more you know, the better it is. It's like a language, right? The more languages you know, the better it is, regardless if you use it or not, because somehow, someday, still it's going to be useful. So I recommend learning softwares like Procreate. Procreate is one of the toppest softwares I use. Like I'm a big fan of Procreate, Blender. There are apps like what do they call it? I haven't used those apps for ages, like for forever, for months. There are different apps just came out. I forgot the name, to be honest.
But for these ones that you've mentioned, this is what you think specific to artists.
Oh, yes.
As a starting point?
As a starting point, they're the best.
Okay.
This is my personal experience. I don't know. Maybe there are some more better options. I didn't try. I don't know. I mean, if you know Python, if you know like more technical stuff, well, that's a bonus, of course, right? And it actually gives a lot of opportunity to the tech people to come into the creative industry. That's actually another version of this beneficial part of this technology.
Oh, okay. So we've talked about some of the good and the positives. So let's turn it to the other way for a minute here. So do you think AI is going to make you obsolete? Like you have all these AI.
I'm scared of AI.
They're making art, and some of it's quite interesting.
Oh man, I'm scared of AI. Like I think the most dangerous thing is happening to human beings. I'm talking negatively, is AI.
But in the context of art, because there's now companies that are selling art that's AI generated, and it's not like terrible. And even if you look at
they're smart. Yeah. The AI will be smarter, if it's not currently now, will be smarter than human beings.
But will it be more creative?
Therefore, it will be more creative.
Because, I think if people...
It's regenerating.
But if you think about it, because they have to be taught, and it's the same thing with this chat GPT.
No, but they code themselves.
Yeah, but the thing is, if we stop uploading photos onto the internet and experiences, then they don't really have anything to make art off of, because it's really based on sucking in the experiences at mass of other individuals.
Wait for it. It will come the day without uploading any picture. AI can create, because the way the system is going, the program has been given to the machines. they're going to be able to code themselves. So this coding, not only like art, it's been coding themselves and updating this stuff over and over and over and over and over. And I think there comes a day that that's, oh, I mean, I hope not. I don't know if I'm trying to be negative right now. It's hard to be negative, but one day, if that goes to unlimited coding, I hope not, but
I mean, yes, there's, the whole Terminator Skynet piece, but in terms of art, because art is really an extraction of an individual's experience through the sensories. And so, the AI is being uploaded those things. So if there's no sensors to take in visuals, if there's no photos uploaded, if you cannot read people's messages where they describe their experiences, and you cannot transcribe sound,
right,
then, you can't really create artificial art out of that. Then it ends up being like what it was like 10 years ago. Because all those pieces are taken from sensory experiences and then interpreted. And that's how you make your art as well.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But that's how it is now. Maybe I'm too imagined. Like I'm thinking like my imagination's like taking my imagination to another level. I think there comes a day that won't be necessary either. And
like,
that
I mean,
scares me.
But then I don't think it'll necessarily be art. Well, no, because then it wouldn't be.
I'm talking about in every aspect. Everything.
Because you would have to have all data of all sensory information in real time at all times, and everything that's ever been experienced has been experienced. And then you would never need new data, and you could just continuously create different art out of it. But for example, let's say there's pocket zones where that government decides we're not going to put video surveillance cameras everywhere, and we're not going to put certain kinds of social media uploads for that particular society. They would, in theory, be able to create art that would be very different than, say, the other parts of the world where they're recording everything.
That's an interesting thought, actually.
But I mean, either way, and maybe you can speak to this, maybe it's already happening, but I do suspect that art is going to be like food. Instead of saying organic art, it's going to say human art or AI art, and there'll be some organization that has to sign off on this.
Absolutely.
And so has this happened yet, or do you know of an organization that is kind of building this?
I don't know it, but I assume it should exist by now.
Because you have that with like fair trade or organic,
yes, exactly.
or whatever.
Different department, we work with human art, we work with AI art.
Because it's usually the Europeans that come up with this, their cut. Yes. And so that's why I was asking if it has already happened, because I suspect it's coming from, it's going to come out of Europe.
I'm not sure if I'm going to go. I submitted my work. It is an art expo in Switzerland. Probably I'll get another, much more information if I attend. But again, I don't know because I have a lot of applications family-wise. But if I go, that's probably the best place to get all these infos. Because, they're the most updated people in art. Let's put it this way. North America is not the best and most updated place for art. And this is coming, I'm saying it as an artist. Mm-hmm. My experience in different countries, because I traveled the world and I lived in different countries. And artists, it does have great community here, amazing art supporters. But when you put it in a scale, with Europe or Middle East, it's like
That makes sense. One of the startups that I'm aware of, they're based in France, called Euromart, and so their whole thing is regulation tech. So you could do what they're doing probably through a blockchain. They're not, as far as I understand it.
Mhm.
But the person who started this company used to work for art galleries. And so it's really, at the end of the day, it's really to prevent money laundering for the most part.
oh, I don't know that how far that goes.
But it's just in France. So it's all being, targeted towards art galleries to use to follow sort of the chain of custody.
Right.
And to make sure that people are paying their fair share, so to speak.
With clean money.
Well, or at least know where it comes from and who needs to pay up the taxes, I'm assuming.
Well, they clean it before it goes.
But
Pipe.
but I mean, I don't know all the specific details of it, but I know it's based on art specifically in France with the goal of expanding it throughout Europe, and it is a regulation play through art galleries.
Right.
And how that's going to work with NFTs, I have no idea, because I don't think you can. NFT is in a different world, and so their ability, Europe or the EU's ability to enforce these things is a little bit more difficult, I would say, for that. And I wanted to ask you, this is a random question, but do you have a pilot's license?
No, I don't. I wish I would have got it, but no, not yet.
Okay, because I remember seeing that you have like an aviation background as well.
Yes. I was a flight attendant for 7 years for Emirates.
Oh, okay. So it's not a completely random
No.
question.
No, I
but
do from aviation background.
Okay.
And, yes, that's correct.
So there is a company here called Blockhound, and they do NFTs for or they mint NFTs on like collectibles related to aviation. So old aviation model parts and things like that, and then they have sort of like a minting concept with it, and as well as they will actually ship you actual printed, high quality printed images of it as well.
Those are collector pieces for sure. Like that's one of the things that can be very, very successful in NFTs world right now currently versus all the individual artists, because there is a vision, there is a concept. Those are like history of aviation, history of aircrafts, flying, and all. It's a lot of story behind it, right? That's that. Like as long as that's the NFT has a vision, story, and a great concept, that why this buyer would want your NFT, it will be successful.
Yeah, I thought it was really kind of interesting. I would have never thought to pick, old plane parts.
I would want to collect those NFTs.
Well, I guess it was a little bit related, given your aviation background.
Like it's beautiful. Not only in aviation, like in any industry. Let's say like the cars, supercars, but I'm pretty sure they already exist. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably more mainstream, so they would jump on that. Probably same with like anything with like the real world collectibles as well. Like the old baseball cards or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about these cards. Like I'm trying to, like every time I try to read about it, I understood nothing about these cards.
Mm. It's just stats, and whoever printed them, which is usually like the Baseball Association or whatever, they kind of decide the value that this is a rookie card. So they just write rookie, but they were the printing press.
But
And
the amount of money they are sold, it's mind-blowing.
we need exclusivity, right? And then you need to create scarcity. So
See,
long as
that's the business aspect of the NFTs. Right now, currently, everybody looking for exclusivity. Like, let's say, Board Ape Yacht Club, the utilities, what utilities coming with. Or I was actually on the call on Clubhouse when they launched Board Apes.
oh, nice.
I could have got one for free. I didn't stay till the end of the call.
So close to being.
I totally like every time I mention it, it hurts. But I'm not gonna lie, it does hurt. But at the same time, I was like, I have a lot to do. Like I had two, 3 commissions going on, and I was like on the phone with them. And I was like, if whoever stays till the end of the call, it was the first day of the launch, like dropping it. But that's the whole main path that hasn't been that smooth yet for individual artists. I'm talking about artists, not because sometimes I make comments about like, oh, it needs to have a vision, story, marketing, but that's the business aspect of it. Not necessarily all the artist has that, right? Because it depends what the artist's background is or was, right? Many artists they just sit down, create the work, and they get a business person to sell the work for them, right? And when I see the individual artists coming to NFTs, it's like, okay, right now, this market, all the buyers looking for exclusivity, looking for something very, very exclusive, different, or utilities, or the community. What community is coming and supporting this NFT? And what is the utility? What is so different? What is so special? What is so high-end about it?
Well, I'm sure once I make a Candid Capital podcast NFT, it'll be very exclusive.
It is now. I was actually listening to your last episode. It was amazing. It was very informative, interesting. And it will be.
He's got some really cool stuff coming up this year. Naz from Remix. And, I met him last year just because there's not a lot of Web3 people where I'm at. If there is, I don't know where they are. And I assume that they're probably more in the crypto fintech kind of space.
Yes. Or banking industry.
Yeah, but I'm looking at more the wider Web3. That's kind of what I'm interested in. Specifically, I'm interested in Metaverse, which is how I ended up having a chat with the Remix guys. Because I think there's a market for it. Will it be what the futurists, the most extreme, believe it's going to be? That's a totally different question. But even if it doesn't even produce 10% of the hype, it'll still be a large market because there will always be a place for it in the gaming world. And the gaming world is becoming more interactive, and that's where brands want to be. And maybe one day a piece of your art will be in Fortnite, when you're...
For sure, that's the whole NFT. That's actually the biggest part, the NFTs and the gaming world. The way it's running so fast towards future, and then more new technology and newer games and everything and all the characters. And I think all these more characters that the what was the name? The Kitty Club.
Oh yeah.
And then Board Ape. They're all gonna be they're all going to be part of the games. I'm sure the game's going to come out soon. And so these things is different. This is a different industry than art, the classical art,
a
virtual gallery. And I think people has to understand these differences, including because I'm still learning a lot, right?
But imagine you bought a real estate place in one of these video games where there's a gallery. And then you pay, say, I don't know, for argument's sake, let's say Halo
or one of the
Mhm.
or Call of Duty or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
And they've created this metaverse where players are always, playing their game, whatever. You buy a piece of real estate with your art gallery, and then you pay the Call of Duty guys for an ad spot. And so what ends up happening is a battle ends up happening as a commercial or a piece right into your gallery. So your gallery gets shot up, there's blood everywhere, whatever. And you get like your video clip. You get your video clip of this. And then because the people who had the battle are famous gamers, you can then sell your NFTs, just like, damaged NFTs with real live action that happened on it with gamer, blah, blah, blah. So, I could see that happening for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure, that's happening. Did you go to the Futurist, by the way?
No. What is that?
It's one of the biggest conferences for it's like Collusion.
Okay.
But it's more Web3 actually. It's all Web3.
Is it in Toronto?
It was in Toronto, yes. I was exhibiting there with NFT Goats.
Okay.
So my art was there on the screen. Well, the thing is, I was so occupied this year that I haven't even posted enough pictures. But I don't know. I can show you it is. Let me see. This is the one. So if you want to I think that's the best. If you want to meet more Web3 people, the Blockchain Futures Conference and ETH Toronto. It was in Toronto. It was trying to remember the date. It was in the summer. I think August, if I'm not making a mistake.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was very beneficial. It's very informative. The NFT Goat had the gallery there. I was exhibiting a couple of pieces there.
Are you going to be there this year?
Most probably, yes. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and the founder of ETH had a great speech about the future of ETH. Again, I'm not I was there as the artist because I'm not in trading.
Mm-hmm.
So, but a lot of traders, everybody was Web3 people. Everybody.
Oh, interesting.
Architects. It was. I found it more useful for Web3 in comparison to Collusion.
Okay.
I mean, I learned a lot personally.
So for Collision, were you at the conference? I mean, I only met you on a side event that was outside of it. So did you attend the conference as well?
I did attend the conference, but Collusion is more covering the startups.
Okay.
And tech and IT. This was my I didn't stay long, but I didn't stay for the conference, for the speech itself. But I went there, I chat with people, I network, and I'm it was a different field than mine.
Are you working with any tech startups now, or just the tech platforms is what you use?
No, tech platforms I'm using.
Oh,
Again,
okay.
projects are Metaverse, but they're not startups. So,
are you aware of any interesting startups that are doing something unique in Metaverse?
I wish I knew those, but no, because again, my field is I'm not there yet.
Okay, so for I guess Metaverse potential in the future, are you looking at building your own Metaverse or real estate in a Metaverse or both?
Well, both is always, you set a goal for 150 to get 100, right?
Well, no, it's just you said that you were talking with some Metaverse architects.
Yes, that's
so building a fully interactive Metaverse is a lot more intense of a project than say if you're
that's ideal. Mm-hmm. If I get the real estate and build my own Metaverse, right? But of course that would be the plan, but I'm taking baby steps right now.
And so would the idea be to also populate it with your artists? Like, do you teach artists and bring them along for the ride? Like, how would that? What does that vision look like?
You're talking about metaverse, or you're talking about like a physical art?
No, I'm talking about the metaverse, because like with the metaverse, you have a couple options. So
I haven't done that. No, I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
Well, yes, I'm bringing on like maybe we are talking about it to bring more art to it, more artists, but that's saying it's like, because when you're doing a collaboration, it's not like it's a group agreement on one art, one piece or two piece to come in, right? They have to like it, right? So I personally haven't done that yet, but we're planning like to bring on more people. But again, when we are like in the middle, so because we're not even halfway.
Okay.
Right? That's the reason I'm not talking about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so like, just to get an idea, your metaverse project that you're working on is probably like a next year launch, or
yes.
Okay, so 2024. Okay, cool. That's interesting. Okay, so we're coming up on the hour here, so I'm just going to get into kind of like the closing questions. So sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. Sounds like you're really busy, so maybe some of them won't work, but we'll go through it anyways to see what comes up. Sure. So what are you currently reading or listening to?
I am reading the 7 Rules of Management.
Oh, okay.
But gosh, who's the? I left it in Newmarket. It's not here. I'm at my place. I'm at my studio actually right now. And listening. No, I don't. I don't listen to anything right now.
Okay, so do you read your books or listen to your books?
I read.
Okay.
I'm old school. I'm still old school. Like I'm still like need a lot of transformation.
Oh no, I'm not judging. I mean, I don't listen to books. I listen to podcasts, but I don't listen to books. I read books. My target is 15 a year. And I have to do that because it's the only way I can like codex it in my brain. Otherwise, I will forget everything that's in there. So it's just part of my sort of process.
I recently like finished, for the second time, the artist, oh gosh, where's the book? Do I have it here? This one is here. The Artist Way. It's not a new book, but it just, I think I found it like if you read it, every time you have it, your brain is blocked as an artist and you can't relate. The Artist's Way book, it helps you just move forward.
So if you don't have a muse, you're recommending this book?
I'm definitely recommending The Artist's Way.
Okay. And is it only applicable to artists or anyone with a block on creativity or whatever it is?
Anything with creativity.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's really useful. Like I finished it the second time because I had a lot in mind. I had to deal with a lot personally in my personal life. And I'm like, okay, I cannot create. What am I going to do? I'm just going to read this book again.
No, that's good. That kind of answers my second question, though, so we can skip that one. I mean, I have a few books that I try to read, a couple times every so many years as well, but they're much more dry and boring. So we'll just move past that. So are you? Because we talked a lot about the metaverse, I just thought I would ask: are you a gamer?
I've never played any game in my life.
Okay. I only brought it up because of the metaverse and because we were talking about the video gaming universes.
I'm getting more familiar with it, but I'm from the generation who would climb up the tree, right? And play soccer. I mean, you call it soccer. They call it soccer here. Soccer outside in the backyard or in the street and doing a lot of bad things, but never being a gamer even as a kid, right? So when I see my 11-year-old nephew, I'm learning from him. I was like, I asked this, like, oh, Rollerblocks is this and that. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, tell me more about it. And then there's another thing he's showing me about Pokemon cards and some other cards. They're going really like big in collections, and I don't know if they have any space in NFTs.
So do you have a Pokemon canvas that you're creating for him?
Actually, I thought about that for his next year birthday.
I think that would be cool. A different take on it, of course.
Yes. I was actually, because I wanted to take him to iFly Toronto for this indoor, like, they have a big jet motors, like they suck the air and you get kind of like float up in the air, and it's pretty cool. But refuse. So every year I end up like paying a few $100s to Pokemon cards. Okay, I mean, I respect your interest, but that is like it's not really understandable for me. Like, stick to the games, maybe. Teach me more. But no, I never played any game.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not a gamer either, because it's wastes too much time. I get obsessed. So I don't play them. Especially now since the games don't end. When I played video games, they had an end. They don't have an end anymore. They go on forever. So if it can't conclude, I can't play it. Because to me it's too addictive for me. So I don't do that. But I am fascinated by these ones that are turning into metaverses. And I'm sure it'll even be more interactive once Disney starts doing Pirates of the Caribbean or Star Wars or Marvel or something like that. Real life
in metaverse.
Yeah.
I think it's like what metaverse and universe, the real universe, are two equal spaces, but not everybody can have the imagination to imagine it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up in the morning today to make your coffee, have breakfast, wear your shoes, all these normal stuff is going to be done in metaverse as well.
Oh, yeah.
People are going to end up with double lives.
Yeah, most definitely. What'll be the funniest is if somebody chooses to play the most boring, mediocre metaverse. You know, but you opted into it. You pay your subscription so you can do a 9 to 5.
Exactly. Because, like, if you look at it, life is a game.
Yeah.
And that's where we're ending. Like, that's where we're heading. Sorry, we're ending. We're heading.
No, definitely. So the next question is, again, if you don't watch any shows, this is not really going to be relevant, but I did bring it. It was the same question in the last episode, but because these are metaverse shows, have you seen, I believe it's called Everything and Everywhere All at Once? It's sort of multiverse, sort of metaverse.
Where and where? What? Everywhere?
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. So I finally finished it, and the last episode only got through half of it. My concluding thoughts on it is that it's not really a metaverse, show.
Like special effects?
It's really a multiverse trying to a metaphor for a whole lot of things. By overarching... I watched it on Amazon Prime, but the main actress that's in it, I forget her name, but she's from she's been in a lot of martial arts shows, and she was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, that one. But she's winning awards, I think, for this one. So this is why. That's why I brought that one up, because it's my pop culture question. But I would say the series...
I watched the show. Sorry, I interrupted you. I watched the show long ago. It was I'm not sure if it was Amazon Prime or Netflix. It was There's this guy who would die and then reborn again, die, reborn again in different times. You know,
and he's doing it to solve. So, okay, I remember
you know
what
what
it
I'm
is.
talking about.
He gets caught in a time loop. It's kind of an action.
Caught in a time loop, and then it's a very action series. I mean, but I forgot the name.
Oh, I forget his name. It's an Italian name. He was in the first Avengers as the villain, working for Hydra. He's also has like an Ultimate Fighting TV series as well. Oh, I can't remember his name.
I don't remember the series, but that was amazing.
Yeah, because he has to keep reliving it until he wins, basically, but he keeps getting killed, so he has to reset.
And come back. He keeps getting killed, and then someone else gets killed, and then he takes over that body.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
So for the show that's out that I think is an actual metaverse series, and I thought at least it started pretty good. I would say that's good production value. It's called The Peripheral, and it is it kind of starts out with this person who has just a regular life, and then they get sent a headset to put on, and then that's how it gets going. And so that one's a pretty interesting one.
That sounds like Matrix.
Well, I mean, it's different because there's no AI robots trying to control humanity.
I see.
And it's like being transported into another reality that turns out to be real. So it's kind of strange. I mean, I've just kind of like gave Amazon free ad space just now with two of their shows. But, either way, in terms of like metaverse.
They should compensate you.
Metaverse topics. But I mean, like the only art shows that I'm aware of or art related is always about stealing art, So.
Well, because I guess that's like make it more action.
Which is why I'm sure the future ones is going to be a hacker movie where they hack into a blockchain and steal NFTs.
100%. Or like break into the virtual gallery.
So they have to put on some VR gear to infiltrate a metaverse in order to get some sort of code to hack the blockchain to steal the NFT stuff. There you go. There's the plot.
Wow. Yeah, it's like, God, like, where are we going? Like, everything is so new and very interesting. And the deeper you dive in, it's deeper. As you said, it's like the games. There's no end. It's deeper and deeper and deeper. This AI world.
So before we conclude here, is there anything you like to mention? A website, an event coming up, or your Instagram, how they can find you, contact you, that sort of thing for your NFTs and art, etc.
Sure. Thank you. I mean, my website is mahnataz.com. You can also reach me at Mahna Taz-Artist. It's Mahna_Taz_Arts in Instagram. Any inquiries and the NFTs are all on Linktree and bio on my Instagram, and also you can find them in my website.
Yeah, I will share some of those links in the show notes so people have it. And thank you very much for doing this podcast with me. It was great to have you on.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Josh, for having me.
You can find information about the Candid Capital podcast on the website, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Episodes can be found on Spotify and other podcast platforms. A quick reminder that this is infotainment and is not intended to be professional advice, malicious, or hateful. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not represent those of employers, partners, and their subsequent connected private and public associations or organizations.
We candid, I hope you understand it. Your business growth, we planned it. Yeah, this ain't for show, we stamped it. Yeah, no FOMO. Everyone come join, no solo. This all factual.